Two men and one teen charged with the murder of QC teacher Joyelle Mcintosh. Up to 500 employees at BEC could be laid off, according to the opposition leader. A Hurricane Joaquin relief concert is set for next month. Plus, BTC is officially rolling out its new TV service in Bimini. We've got those stories and more coming up tonight. I'm Dana Smith, and MV12 starts right now. News tonight, a 17-year-old male is among three people charged in connection with the murder of Queens College teacher and mother of two, Joyelle Mcintosh, who was shot to death on Village Road earlier this month. Simone Davis reports.
21-year-old Amando Sargent of Kemp Road, 25-year-old Johnny Mackey of Barnaby Alley, and a 17-year-old male of Sutton Street were charged with armed robbery and the murder of Joyelle Mcintosh. The men allegedly attempted to rob Mcintosh of her 2009 silver Toyota valued at $6,000, which resulted in her death. According to police reports, shortly after 8 p.m. on November 11th, Mcintosh was driving along Village Road when she was shot, causing her to crash into a wall at the Village and Parkgate Road intersection. The men, who appeared before Chief Magistrate Joyanne Ferguson Pratt, were not required to enter a plea, and bail was denied. All three men asserted that they were beaten while in police custody and requested to seek medical attention. However, they also said that they were questioned without the presence of an attorney or a parent. These three men were also linked to a number of other crimes, including murder, attempted murder, and armed robbery. They claimed police put fish bags over their heads and hit them about their bodies. Mackey said police threatened that if they sought medical attention, they could face additional charges. Mackey and the 17-year-old were also charged with the armed robbery and attempted armed robbery of D'Amico Forbes and Marcian Roll, the murder of D'Amico Forbes, and attempted murder of Marcian Roll. Sargent was charged separately with the murder of Thiffion Johnson of White's Addition, who was killed back in April. Sargent stated that he had no idea he was being charged with another murder. The list of charges did not stop there. The 17-year-old was charged separately with the murder of Adrian Monroe that occurred in Elizabeth Estates on Friday, November the 13th. As Ferguson Pratt read that charge, he stated that he was not informed of those charges while in police custody. His mother was also arrested for child neglect. All matters were adjourned until January 21st for the presentation of a voluntary bill of indictment. All three men were remanded to the Bahamas Department of Corrections. Reporting for NB12, I'm Simone Davis.
As parliamentarians began debate on three BEC reform bills today, opposition leader Dr. Hubert Minnis said he understands up to 500 employees of the Bahamas Electricity Corporation could be laid off. Minister responsible for BEC, Deputy Prime Minister Philip Brave Davis, said while government is very sensitive about adding to unemployment numbers, there could be minimal job losses. However, he shot down that figure and accused Minnis of trying to make news headlines. Vani Toot reports.
Deputy Prime Minister Philip Davis has accused opposition leader Dr. Hubert Minnis of being irresponsible. This after Minnis said in the House of Assembly today he has been informed that 400 to 500 BEC employees could be let go. Davis says while numbers have been thrown out there, nothing is set in stone. He added while there could be voluntary separations, no one would be forced out.
How many individuals in BEC would lose their jobs? And maybe the minister would answer me today. I'm being informed that 400 to 500 BEC employees may become redundant.
Davis, who has ministerial responsibility for BEC, says officials have been in talks with the two BEC unions on whether some employees could be laid off. He insisted the opposition leader is simply trying to make newspaper headlines.
Those matters are still under talks, and so I will not dare to even suggest how many persons would be laid off or otherwise or be made redundant. It's one thing the employees of BEC could actually be assured of is that there'll be minimum, from the government's perspective, there'll be minimum disruption of the employment numbers, and anyone who is going to be laid off will be laid off with proper engagement by ourselves, and it will be voluntary and will not be forced.
However, Minnis asserted the last thing the country needs is more job losses following a mass layoff exercise at Bahamar.
We've just had over 2,000 individuals losing their jobs at Bahamar. And BEC, we're talking about 500 over a prolonged time. What exactly is a prolonged time? Is that 6 months? Is that 1 year? Is that 2 years?
Davis says there are creative ways for officials to keep staff on, noting government is very sensitive about adding to unemployment numbers. He dismissed Minnis's comments as mere opposition politics.
Stay looking for headlines. I think either that or tax will be the headlines tomorrow in the papers, and that's what he thinks he needs to do. I would have expect him to be a bit more responsible.
The opposition leader also accused the Christie administration of imposing a triple tax on Bahamians under this new regime. However, Davis called it a red herring.
The consumers are already paying VAT tax on electricity. They're paying VAT tax on everything. And now we're going to have another tax, a bond reduction rate fee, which is a tax. I don't care, you call it fee, free, P, whatever you want to call it, it's a tax. Then, in addition to that, and the VAT is a surcharge.
It's not a tax. I mean, it's anyone, there's a debt. The debt has to be paid. Debts are paid out of the operations and income of the company. That's the only thing we're going to be doing.
Parliamentarians are debating 3 bills that seek to overhaul the country's energy sector. They are the Electricity Amendment Bill, Electricity Rate Reduction Bond Bill, and IRCA Amendment Bill. Reporting for NB12, I'm Vonique Tude.
Education Minister Jerome Fitzgerald has dismissed as misleading Long Island MP Loretta Butler Turner's claim that the Ministry of Education directed Claridge Primary School not to present her with hurricane relief supplies for students in her constituency during a special assembly earlier this month. Butler Turner said she understands that it was a directive from the minister himself, and she could only assume that it was politically motivated. However, Fitzgerald denied any involvement.
And it had nothing to do with me, and I never gave any such directive as alleged by the member for Long Island.
According to Butler Turner, Claridge Primary's Parent-Teacher Association organized a relief exercise to get goods to the schools in Long Island. However, Fitzgerald says it was purely a Bahamas Union of Teachers initiative to assist teachers on the islands devastated by Hurricane Joaquin. He says the union's acting president insisted he knew nothing of a presentation to the Long Island MP.
This was solely a BUT initiative, and the presentation, from what I understand, was not sanctioned by BUT, and I understand it was an affront to the executives. Mr. Speaker, let the record reflect that this had nothing to do with the Ministry of Education, Science, and Technology, and we had already mobilized a hurricane relief drive in all the islands that were affected.